somehow it's all gone now. Good things can never last. You are down for the third time, and you spent your change. Memories of your prime make life seem so strange.
Woke up feeling bad again. The window always shows me where I am, but now darkness won't allow me to show you who I am. Or maybe it's the light. Either way, I do not know. Arizona, I wanna go there. Pacific Ocean, I wanna go there. The memory of a life, a scattered shot, a tideless sea, where the deepest is death and we are floating towards nothing. Catskill Mountains, I will always come back to you. Mom, I love you, I still hear your voice inside my sleep. Next time you see me, I'll be glowing brightly. Outside with the birds in the middle of the yard. What a place for us. Forest fields, ocean lakes, and the stars. When I say nothing, it's just because I like the sound. I just want love, I just want sun, I just want your company. Silhouette of the mountain in the dark. Is there anything more beautiful than afternoon? Or the quiet summer nights while the rainstorm gently cries?
All right. So I guess we'll start to get into things here. One sec. Fuck. Thanks, StarCraft. I don't know why the UI has been lagging so bad in StarCraft recently, but Whatever. Okay. So we're going to be getting into our cast of Group F of the qualifiers for the Allinvitational. It's a pretty interesting group. Thanks, Windows 10. Always appreciate it. So let's start this replay off. So in this group we got Tech 4, Drumhead, Catalyst, and Frogs. So we're going to be getting into our first series of the day between Tech 4 and Drumhead, sorry. So spawning down here in the bottom right side of the map, we have in the purple plain Zerg, it is Tech 4. And in the top left we have our Protoss player, it is Drumhead. Let's play hard and show good games to the fans. Amen, brother. Amen. Shout out to Uncommon and Shazam Poof. Wow, love those guys. It's actually, I guess I find it a bit ironic that he did a shout out for Uncommon, because this is probably one of the few groups that Uncommon won't be casting. So, he might not even get to see this shit out unless he checks out my cast, which hopefully he does. Alright, so right off the bat here, we got Tech 4 going for a hatch first, and it looks like Drumhead just going into a gateway into expand. So pretty normal things from both of these players. Not really expecting to see anything crazy out of either of them though, just yet. Maybe something a bit crazy later on from Tech 4, but he normally likes to open his series a bit standard, and then he busts out some crazy stuff. Or if he does this crazy stuff, it's more like weird army compositions and timings, as opposed to, you know, just outright cheesy. So Drumhead does have a probe in the main of Tech 4, so he knows everything that's going on, and he will continue to know for the foreseeable future. Really nice scout will be able to see the gas, and notices that Tech 4 is going to continue mining gas after his initial 100. Or not. I guess what I meant to say is will he, sorry, continue to mine gas. And Tech 4 not opting to do so, and instead going to take all of his drones off gas, gives him a bit more of a mineral income, allows him to get a faster third base, allows him to get more queens and more lings, and pretty much he's just going to rely off of the speedlings to really help him make it through to this mid game, where he will eventually start mining gas again, but he's pretty much just using this to get a bit of an econ boost in the early game. Lets him get out more drones as well. Of course, you run the risk of dying to a lot of early aggression if you're just relying on lings, as a lot of early adept pressure builds can really do a lot of damage if you only have Zerglings to defend. But doesn't look like we're going to see that. Instead, we see Drumhead going for a Stargate opener, which is pretty standard, and definitely something I expect to see from Drumhead, something he does quite a lot. Something a lot of Protoss players do quite a lot is open with that Stargate. You know, it's a very safe build, and just kind of doesn't really have any noticeable negatives to it, really. It's just like, if Protoss can open a Stargate, that means the meta is in a good spot, relatively. Have we got anything else? So, not really a whole lot of information here gained by Drumhead. Not a whole lot of damage done either. But he did see that there wasn't a huge swell of lings heading towards his base, so I guess sometimes that's all you really need. He does have a Twilight Council coming up back at home. Doesn't have a Robo yet, so leading me to believe that this is not going to be a Archon drop. Normally you get the Robo and the Twilight at the exact same time if you're going for an Archon drop. So maybe a Glaives opener here. We do see a couple of adepts. Yeah, exactly as I predicted. Wow, I'm a professional analyst. And some more gateways coming up. So he's going to be up to 5 gateways in total. This is not a huge amount. This is not a all-in But this is going to, from the looks of it, be a bit committed. You know, he's going to have a decent amount of adepts made here. And he's going to commit a decent amount to this aggression. He's going to go across the map and hopefully try to kill some drones. But looks like Tech 4 actually, I'm not sure what happened to all Tech 4's drones. Did he lose? I didn't lose any. He just doesn't have any currently. He was down significantly in workers for a bit there. I was really wondering what the heck was going on. But 10 more just pops and he will even up the drone count. He is really going to have to worry about these adepts though. So the third base is a bit late. No, it's pretty much on time, right? I think you normally would get this around like the 4:30 mark. Maybe 5:30 if you were being safe. So he gets it at a reasonable time. Drumhead has a lot of money in the bank. Probably doesn't want to warp in too many adepts until he wants to head out. Because if he does morph in a bunch and Tech 4 sees, well then he knows exactly what Drumhead is going to be doing. Now again, as I said, this isn't an all-in. He's just going to put on some pressure while he gets up his robos back at home. So that's a really smart move. We see a lot of Zerg students nowadays where they go for these adept pressures versus Zerg, which kind of fell out of favor for a while, but are a bit back in the meta now. And forces Zergs to go for Roach to defend it, but then back at home you get your double robo coming down and you pretty much just prepare for the next stage of the game behind this. These adepts are going to do just fine here, running into the natural mineral line, going to pick off a couple workers here and there. Not the greatest harassment we've ever seen, but you know, 10 drone kills definitely ain't bad for 6 or 7 adepts. He really just has to worry about this counterattack here, because Tech 4 has a significant amount of Roach and Ravager. He actually manages to pick off a Ravager there. But he is going to lose all of these adepts, or should anyways. That last one might just barely escape. Yeah, very lucky of him to get away, but back at home we do have the first couple of Immortals started. So once these are out, with the assistance of these sentries, I think Drumhead is going to be fine. And Tech 4 did take a lot of drone damage from that, and he lost, you know, 10-11 drones, which is pretty significant for the amount of adepts that he sent in. I think you kind of aim for like the 10 to 12 range. So he kind of got on the low end of the spectrum, I guess, for what I'm going to arbitrarily decide. I don't know what the Protoss actually hopes to accomplish with that, but I think you want to get a decent amount of drone kills. So, because that is a lot of commitment in that early game. But that does leave him a bit open to some harassment here. Some counterattacks. But Drumhead does have a lot of sentries out, and he has 4 Immortals already, with 2 more on the way. Tech 4 does have a decent amount of roaches, so he might be able to pick off a couple things. I mean, at the worst case scenario here, he can back off and just leave. Looks like Tech 4 instead, realizing that maybe he can't afford to leave here, is just going to try to trade versus some of these sentries. And killing a lot of these high enemy sentries is not a bad trade whatsoever. Keeps the sentry count low, and without a high sentry count, the Immortals really become a lot less of a threat, especially to mass Roach, as we see. We do have a Hydrodyne coming down, but it will be a while before we get Hydrosks out on the field. And versus 6 Immortals, soon to be 7, and possibly 8, if Drumhead gets on supply blocked here. That would be definitely very difficult for Tech 4's army to deal with. He really has to buy some time until he can get those Hydrosks out. He does have +2 range on the way. Not going for armor upgrades this game, which I don't think is a bad choice. I kind of like this less of a commitment to upgrades and more like bulk from the Zerg armies. So it looks like this is probably going to be the only Immortals that Drumhead's going to get here. He's probably going to get mostly gateway units for the rest of this army, followed up by High Templar eventually, I presume. Because you don't want to have too many Immortals, or else you really leave yourself susceptible to Amito's counterattack, or just realistically, like Immortals. Sorry, I can't speak today. Immortals they're great units. Don't get me wrong, but versus like pure Hydros, let's say, or Lingbane, they just aren't that strong. So if the Zerg can overwhelm you at any point, they can kill a lot of Immortals for very cheap. We do have a Templar Archives on the way, and Drumhead's going to be a bit aggressive while this is coming down to buy himself some time until he has Templar Archives up and ready. It's much better for him to be on the aggressive than for him to be fighting against this huge Zerg attack. Ideally, he wants to stop Tech 4 from joining up. And a lot of Raptors getting caught out here. Going to cancel that warp in there from the Prism. A couple of Corrosive Valves going down, not really hitting anything though. And that's a lot of gateways producing Blink Stalkers. And I'm not sure if Tech 4 has enough Roach Ravager on the top of this ramp here to fight against this army. That is a lot of Immortals in there. Guardian Shields are coming down. But we do see some Hydralisks are coming in to support this army. Huge amounts of Corrosive Valves are coming down on a lot of this Protoss army. A lot of these Immortals are starting to get weak. Their shields have gone down, but there's a lot of Blink Stalkers to follow this up. Even if the Immortals get picked off here, can Drumhead push through? I think he definitely can with some good Blink Stalker micro, but the +2 on this Hydralisk and Roach Ravager is doing pretty well versus this force from the Zerg player. Reinforcements are coming in here from that Warp Prism, and Tech 4 is starting to run out of units here. He's lost a lot of his Hydralisk. We have mostly Lings on the production tab here from Tech 4 with some Hydras. More reinforcements coming in from the main. Looks like Tech 4 might be able to stabilize here, as most of the Immortals did get picked off, only 2 remaining, and the rest is just Blink Stalkers. They do have +1, but versus +2 Hydralisks, that's really not a great way to engage here. And we will see the Stalkers, do get picked off quite easily by the Hydralisk from Tech 4. Counterattack of Zerglings here in the 3rd base is going to start to attack in here. Not really getting many probe kills, as there is a cannon and some shield batteries in place. But at the very least, it lets Tech 4 see what is up on his opponent's side of the map. Now, Tech 4 is down a bit in economy here. He has 5 bases now, but he's not really mining off too many of them, as he only is on 60 drones right now. So, not really getting the most out of his army at the moment. And he has a Spire, but I don't think we're going to see too many Mutalisks on the way, as we do have +3 Blink Stalkers here, or +2 rather, soon to be +3. And it looks like it's just going to be Hydralisks for now. We do have a lair turning into a hive here, so possibly Broodlords later on. Broodlords, I think, would be a great addition to Tech 4's army, but he's down significantly in supply for now. His army supply is even, but still, that's not really great for the Zerg, especially when you have this many Rushes. But a lot of this army here for Drumhead is in Stalkers. I don't see where we have the High Templars. Oh, they're over here. And not sure if they have enough energy for some storms, or if it's... No, it's not even done researching just yet. Tech 4 can maybe hit a small timing window here. 10 seconds until Storm is done, and Tech 4 is going to be cautious, just going to back off, as he does not know if Storm is done. It is now, but he had no clue whether it was or not when he engaged. And that's really not something you want to take for granted. If he runs up that ramp and eats a bunch of Storms, then this lights out. So with the kind of retreat there from Tech 4, we see Drumhead feels like he's stabilized enough to go into carriers. He's adding on some extra Stargates and a Sleep Beacon. So this is really going to allow his army to progress down the tech path he wants. Right now, I think Drumhead just wants to go ahead and trade some of the supply here. He's getting up a 5th base, and he's going to attack and kind of keep Tech off it while he can get that 5th base up and established. Hopefully he can trade off some of these Stalkers and use that extra supply to build some carriers. And Drumhead's building more and more probes now too. I think that's a bit of a mistake. I don't think you really need 87 probes at this point in time, but maybe he just wants to, you know, keep making that bank. He does have a lot of money in the bank, now that I noticed that. So a couple of these probes going down. I didn't even realize he didn't have charge. But Tech 4 definitely kind of on the back burner this game, as Drumhead is going to come up here, but it doesn't really matter to him if he loses a lot of these units. He has carriers on the way back at home, and I feel like worst case Ontario, Drumhead is going to get an even trade from this fight. This is a huge choke. A lot of Storms are going to blanket these Hydros. A lot of them going down. This is just a terrible fight here for Tech 4. Tech 4 is not well known for his splitting here, and as we can see, a lot of Hydros are going down. Entire bank here is cleared from Tech 4, and even with his attempted remax, he's only going to get up to 120 supply with this. So, even if at the carriers, Drumhead will be able to take this game, it looks like. And a lot of the units actually going down over here. That's like half of the producing army. Going to spawn right at the army of Drumhead. And another engage here, but this paltry force of Zerg is not going to be enough to deal with this huge... it's not even a death ball, it's just like... this... fuck, I'm trying to think of like some... another term, but I can't. Anyways, blink forward right into the Hydralisk. Drumhead knows this game's over, and Tech 4 does as well. It's going to be game 1 going to Drumhead. Alright, so now we're going to be going into our second game. Whoops. I always hate how that pops up immediately. I never have time to get rid of it before it's potentially seen, but maybe I'll pull off the intro slide after, or not the intro, the in-between slide, whatever I want to call that, after the timer is gone. But anyways, spawn up here in the top right, we have in a purple, it is our Zerg player here, Tech 4. And on the bottom left, we have our orange Protoss player, it is Drumhead. Yo, Tiki. Alright. Shout out the frogs. Okay. I wonder what horrible build we're gonna see this game. Because if he's shouting at frogs, that means he's thinking about frogs. And if you think about frogs, you think about his disgusting cheese builds that he uses in CVP to make people very upset. So I really hope we see something absolutely disgusting here. Yeah, Drumhead is very much our Protoss voice of wisdom. He might not be our best Protoss, but I feel like he's the one who is most willing to share his knowledge and to cooperate with his teammates. He's always very much been into trying to help other Protoss players improve. And at the same time, I feel like it kind of helps him improve as well. Because when you look back and like, and just kind of like look at how you understand something, I think it kind of helps you reflect on why you think of something that way. If that makes any sense to anyone but myself. Alright, so unfortunately so far, it looks like Tech 4 isn't going for anything super disgusting here. As he's opening pretty standard, just some Zerglings to start. I really hope we see some Storm Hosts or something like that. Also, I'm going to be very disappointed. Like, why would he shout out to Frogs if he wasn't doing something like that? He's not living up to Frogs' name. You know, he has a reputation to uphold. And same build from Drumhead. Of course, the Stargate Opener is just a very kind of safe, macro-oriented build, so no reason why he wouldn't just continue to do that. Oops. Control Shift up. Thanks, StarCraft. I always forget Control. For some reason, when I do Control Shift up to follow unit, it like lags my game, as you probably noticed there. I can mitigate this by just holding Control F, but like I prefer to take my hands off the keyboard and just let the units do the camera work for me. It never used to do that, but. I have to do it again in order to stop it from following a unit, so we're gonna have to deal with once a brief moment of lag here. Okay. Yeah, it's just really annoying that it does that. I'm not quite sure why. Maybe it's just my computer. This game looks like we are going to have some Phoenix open up here by Drumhead. I believe last game we seen an Oracle. Yeah, I guess maybe he thought, because like at the start of the game, Tech 4 did a shout out to Frogs. And we do have a Roach Warren coming down pretty early. And yeah, as you're saying, like, he's on like 1.5 base saturation here. Oh, he's doing Anitis. Okay. Okay. I didn't even notice the layer go up. Well, I am not very observant. So it's gonna be a Anitis, and Drumhead knows something's going on as he has shaded it a couple of times and noticed, hey, you have no drones. So I don't know where that Phoenix is. Yeah, but this Phoenix is actually super key. Because if this Phoenix could kill all the Overlords, then the Nidus is not going to be able to get up. Unfortunately for Drumhead, there is an Overlord over here. But at the very least, this means that there's only one possible area the Nidus can spawn. So Drumhead only has to check one thing once he hears it, or one area once he hears the noise. And he should hear the noise now. I don't know where he has his units. Or did he not hear the noise? Okay, so this Nidus goes off. Queens are in the base now. Drumhead only now just reacting. He might not have heard that noise. He is not very well prepared for dealing with this. I thought he was going to be a bit more clued into what was happening, but I guess he didn't notice the Nidus network and didn't really think about it. So these Queens and Roaches are going to start to engage with these workers. This Oracle will go down. But we do have one Phoenix left and one of the Queens. A lot of probes are going down, so even if this force is pulled off, this is still a lot of economic damage done to Drumhead here. And I dare say this Nidus has pulled itself off very well here. One Immortal will spawn, so that's going to be a lot of firepower to this Protoss army, desperately trying to hold on. But 33 probes have gone down, so even if Drumhead is able to stabilize here, what can he hope to accomplish after this? More reinforcements are going to continue to funnel out of this Nidus here. Another Immortal's about to pop, but it's going to pop right on top of the Zerg army. And Tech 4 can target that down right away. That Immortal is stuck there. Completely paralyzed into fear. Pretty unfortunate for Drumhead, just not ticking into what was coming his way that game. And just didn't have his units in the right position to deal with that. If he had his units right beside the Nidus network and killed it before all his Queens get out, or just at least fight it before all the units are out, I feel like he handles it with this a lot better. You know, you can do that thing where you put all your probes right around it and stop anything from popping out. Stuff like that, but unfortunately, I don't think Drumhead's going to be able to hold on here. A lot more Roaches are popping out. Drumhead is mining off of 3 probes, and GG is going to be called. So, Tech 4 tying up that series 1-1. We'll be going into our final game for this series. It's going to be on Dreamcatcher. Alright. So, spawning down up here in the top left, we have in the purple, playing Zerg. It is Tech 4. And in the bottom right, we have our Protoss player in the orange. It is Drumhead. So looks like Drumhead going to be doing a very fast skip this game. Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that actually. Do you think it, like... I feel like the stasis has to be played, yeah. Well, because like a stasis would obviously stop a lot of the units around it, and it would stop more units from spawning, right? If there's like too many units around it. I don't know. Like, I feel like that can be very good, especially if it gets rid of all the Queens, because then you can kill the Nidus and then kill the units. And just like obviously buys time. So it looks like Drumhead is going to be a bit of a perk here, and then the Night Tech 4's expansion. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I feel like that'd be super hard to actually like to land though. like a good one. I feel like Tech 4 is gonna. So Tech 4 is gonna take a hidden expansion over here after Drumhead so rudely denied his expansion. I feel like most stasises that you would place by Nidus would just get triggered by like one unit, and then that would be it. Alright, so Drumhead behind his little, I don't even know what you want to call that, just slight harassment to deny base, has gone for a standard build. And he doesn't know about that expansion from Tech 4. I think you might assume as a Protoss player, if you like weren't paying complete attention, that maybe a drone slipped away and Tech 4 is building a hatchery here or here somewhere, as well as maybe in the natural. Because he delayed that for quite a while, so I think in Drumhead's mind, you don't think there's any way that he just waited that long to expand. And Drumhead also playing very, very safe here. I feel like that shield battery is very early. I guess it's really nice if your opponent goes for a Ling Flood and you're not aware of it. And it's only like 100 minerals for a shield battery, right? So I guess probably worth the extra minerals. And Tech 4 is on a bit of a low drone count this game as well. I'm not sure if he just hasn't completely powered up yet. He's behind Protoss and Workers quite a bit. Correct me if I'm wrong, but... Oh, I guess it's just because he has the gold base. He hasn't really needed to make as many drones. And finally we have a bunch more on the production tab now. 11 more in fact. So he will even up with the Protoss. I think maybe I'm just stupid and don't understand ZVP. That's entirely possible. Alright, so we see a Twilight and a Robo coming up. I guess I don't want to call this as an Archon drop build because the Robo is pretty late there. Oh, I guess it will be anyways. Maybe Drumhead, sorry, just got distracted by something. Let's see here. What is... Okay, so Drumhead hasn't seen the far expansion there, and he does gum up and see the very low drone count from Tech 4. Of course, more drones just arriving, but seeing that has made him pull his Adept back. I think he's unsure what's going to happen now, because he knows he delayed that expansion for quite a bit. So then he comes up, sends in the shade, sees like 5 drones mining, and he has to be thinking to himself, okay, like either he has a crap ton of Lings hiding in his base, or he's taking another base somewhere, and he's going to check this one over here. And he's going to be, he's going to find that both of my statements were slightly correct. He does have a bunch of Lings here, but I don't think those are necessarily what he was expecting to find. And with that gold base, Tech 4 is going to be able to make a lot more happen off of a much smaller economy here. He sees a Baneling nest. I think it's going to be a Bane bust here from Tech 4, and I think Drumhead would know that as well. So we'll have to see how he reacts here. I don't see any more units coming down. He can build Dark Templars. I guess I'm not sure how well... Okay, so he's going to morph 2 by his... by his front base here and send him out. Of course, Dark Templars aren't the greatest versus Banelings, but still, they do 3 damage to all these Lings. They're move commanded towards the hatchery over there, so I guess he hadn't even intended to deal with these. And I'm not quite sure how I feel about that. I feel like he needs more at home here to defend. And these Banelings are going to try to bust down the ramp here. Going to try to out-DPS that shield battery, but that shield battery is going to continue to heal. Force field going down at the last second there. Well, not at the last second, but as soon as that shield battery starts to run low. And that Archon is getting insane amounts of kills on all these bunched up Lings. This is peak efficiency right here. Holy fuck. 40 kills. Meat Grinder Simulator. And then 2 Immortals come down. And Tech 4 has lost 50 Zerglings to a single Archon. And back at home, those two DTs have killed the entire mineral line. And Drumhead gonna take a 2-1 victory in that series. That was definitely not what I was expecting to see. I felt like Drumhead was in a lot more danger. Alright, so Drumhead will advance onto the winners bracket. So we're going to be going into our other first group here. And this one's going to be Frogs versus Catalyst. Yeah, that Archon was absolutely insane. I'm not sure, like... What I think kind of happened there is, like, once that force field went down and the Archon finished Morphine, that Tech 4, like, probably got attacked by the DTs. He had to go look back at home and go, oh shit, there's DTs in my base. But then, as soon as he does that, all the links start, like, clumping together because they're A-moved. And the Archon just kills everything. But anyways, starting off another series here. We have this one, going to be between Frogs and Catalyst. Thanks for the follow. And spawning at the top left, we have our pink Zerg. It is Frogs. And down here, we have in the bottom right, we have our purple Terran. From Maine, it is Catalyst. Interesting to note, Tech 4 and Catalyst are both from Maine. So we have a very heavy Maine influence in our StarCraft 2 scene here. I'll have to see how both these players decide to play this matchup. I know Catalyst is... He has like a lot of different styles he likes to do, where I think Catalyst has good macro when he can get himself into a comfortable position, but I feel like he doesn't know all the like different things that can happen or things he can do. So I think Catalyst is at the stage of learning StarCraft where you just don't know anything. Like, there's so much that can happen in the game, and you just literally, like, you don't know what builds to do or what is good and what is bad. But he's been playing a lot more recently, which I'm glad to see, and I think he's improving a bit too. So we'll be going for a Reaper Fast Expand. Frogs went for a Hatchery first there. So nothing too aggressive from either of these players. It looks like Catalyst going for a 2-on-1 this game. Pretty interesting. Of course, this build has kind of started to find its way back into the meta. I don't mean to shit talk it, but I feel like almost undeservedly so. It's like everyone sees Maru doing it now, and they're like, wow, this build's still good. And then they try it and they're like, wow, Maru is really a lot better at micro and multitasking than I am. I'm floating 1,000 minerals, please help. But this build is definitely like, you know, it's a good build if you can operate it well. But I feel like it puts a lot of stress on you to do a lot of things. It's still very good, especially if you want to be aggressive. Still plenty of Zergs who don't know the counter to it, as it's not really meta anymore. And it looks like Catalyst is actually executing it quite well here. Most of the stuff coming down at the right time. So it looks like he has been practicing his builds here. Really glad to see. And doing a good job with this Reaper too. Let's see what that Reaper killed. Oh, a drone actually. That's really cute. So he killed the drone that was going to make the third. So delaying that by a bit. Catalyst not really being as active with his Reaper as he can be, but it's a lot better if you're not sure about your Reaper micro. So just kind of keep it alive for as long as you can. I don't really see the point in losing it for a Zergling. You ideally want to use it to come in and see when the third base is going down, but it looks like Frogs has other plans in mind with this Roach Warren coming up. Alright, so I guess I don't really know. I've played against this build a lot, and honestly, it's super annoying. This build pretty much just gets out like 10 to 12 roaches. They come across the map, and they just kill you if you're not prepared. If there's no bunker here, Catalyst is probably going to die to this. Even though he has a lot of Marines, and Stim about halfway done, I don't think Stim is going to be ready by the time these roaches get to his natural. So Catalyst is going to take a lot of damage from this, as Roaches do pretty well against Marines, and he's even going to morph some Ravagers here as well. I haven't really seen a version with Ravagers, But still, this can work out very well. And Catalyst will scan the main, but Roach Warren's in the natural. Catalyst has no clue what's going on here. Sorry. Alright, so he does have a lot of Marines here at the natural here, and all of Fruggs' units aren't together just yet. But still, all these Marines are on the low ground here. This means these Lings can even get in on the fight here. And that's a lot of Ravagers. Catalyst just seeing this now. He's going to try to evacuate towards his main. Pretty smart call, but a tough one to make. You really don't want to abandon that low ground, but sometimes you have to. Fortunately, the wall actually doesn't get close in time. Zerglings are going to be able to get into the main. We have some medevacs here for support, but Stim is not done. 10 seconds off. These Roaches are going to be able to do so much damage versus all of these Marines. The SCVs are going to get pulled. He's going to try to fight these against these Roaches. All those Marines stay alive, which is good, which means he should be able to mop this up if he stims here. So Stim goes down. But still, enough Roaches survived here that looks like Catalyst is just going to take game-ending damage from this push. And unfortunately, Catalyst just wasn't able to scout this build. And this is a strong build in the current meta. Especially with the amount of Terrans opening Hellions these days. Personally, I'm a big fan of that build. Sorry. Fuck. I just love accidentally making random noises. Alright. So getting into our next game. So it's game 2. Spawn down here in the bottom side of the map, we have in the pink, playing Zergodas Fruggs. And up in the top of the left, we have in the purple, playing Terran as Catalyst. Alright, so let's see what these players are up to. Hatch first from Fruggs. Of course, just because it's a hatch first doesn't save you from Zerg cheese. It can come at any time, folks. Always be prepared. And Catalyst is going for another Reaper expand, I believe. Assuming he builds the Reaper. Sometimes like players go for this and they just build a Marine because they don't want a Reaper for whatever reason. So Fruggs' EVT is definitely very aggressive. I would say Fruggs has a lot of strong timings that he hits, and he can really throw you off balance, and he uses that to play his way into a longer game. But I would say overall, I don't consider Fruggs to be an extremely strong macro ZVT player. This is not to say that he's bad at macro, but I would say it's not the focus of his gameplay. His gameplay normally revolves around one really strong timing or a really strong push, which he uses to levy himself into that late game. And I think like on an even footing versus like an evenly skilled Terran player, I would say Fruggs would struggle to play a normal macro game. It's just not his style. Not to say he's bad or anything. And Catalyst is going to open with a 2-1 again. And Fruggs has seen this pretty much immediately. And this is really great when you're the Zerg player, to be able to see that 2-1 pretty much right off the bat. At this point, pretty much all Zergs know how to deal with the 2-1. It's a figured strategy at this point, unless your opponent's micro is just godlike. So Fruggs knows what he needs to do. He just needs to make some queens and make some Zerglings. And I feel like a lot of Zerg players can just blindly do that these days and be safe versus a lot of stuff. Except for like some weird mech pushes. So Catalyst Reaper, not as successful as it was last game. It will see the third base going down though, which is definitely a bit of a burden off his mind, as he knows he doesn't need to expect that Roach build again. But I think Frogs might have a bit of a plan here for a Baneling bust, as we do see a Baneling nest going down and a second gas bead taken. So with 14 lings on the way, I feel like this could definitely be a Baneling bust. He might want to time it for right when the medevacs head out. And he might just Baneling bust into the main base here as soon as the medevacs head out, or are supposed to head out rather. And I believe Frogs was able to kill that Reaper, so that's another thing going in his favor here. So that means Catalyst is probably not going to know about this Baneling bust. Obviously, if with a build like this for Frogs, he wants to hit when the medevacs leave. That way he can get into the main base and force the Terran units to fight on an even plane with the Zerglings and Banelings. But if the Terran player knows that this Baneling bust is coming, they can just keep their 2-1 at home, kill all the Zerglings and Banelings, and just proceed to play as normal. Plus, they've already killed a crap ton of your Zerglings and Banelings, which means the defense is going to be even tougher. 16 Banelings on the way here for Frogs. It's quite a lot of Banelings. And he might wait until he sees these medevacs head out. I feel like it's not a good idea to push up this ramp otherwise. Of course, you still can kill this Terran player, but it's just a bit more risky, because you really have to depend on not only your Banelings getting through, but you want them to get good connections. And so these medevacs are going to start to head out. And it looks like Frogs should notice them with his Lings and Banes, as you can see. Starts to head right in. Catalyst not yet reacting, only just now sent his medevacs home. But these Zerglings are going to try to pick away at these depots. Frogs realizing that he's going to need the Banelings to bust down the wall here. These Marines are going to unload on the low ground, and these Banelings are slow, but the Zerglings are fast. That's probably one of the stupidest things I've said. But a lot of Zerglings and Banelings are going to crack into this wall, and really not a lot of damage done. Only 5 SCVs going down. They did kill some supply depots. They did kill a couple units here. But for the most part, I think a lot of Banelings connected on the wall for not a lot of value. And I think if Catalyst heads across the map right now, he can get some damage done. Or at the very least, force even more units that Frogs doesn't really want to make. But it looks like Frogs is just going to try again. He's going to send a bunch more Lings over here. And he just wants to keep Catalyst at home so he can drone up. He might not even turn some of these into Banelings. No, he might just head right to the wall and just poke at it. Because that's a lot of Lings. And if Catalyst sees that, he's going to be like, oh crap, I'm getting Baneling busted again. I need to stay home and defend. Because you don't know if your opponent's going to or not unless you fly one of your medevacs over their army. So if he were to see the Zerglings here right now, I feel like he'd definitely feel fine just leaving and dropping across the other side of the map and maybe siege up that tank. But for now, Frogs is going to feel perfectly comfortable to just drone up. And it looks like Catalyst is going for, this is like that Maru-esque build where you go for a siege tank push as a follow-up to your 2-on-1. Conventionally, the 2-on-1 was pretty much always like, you go for your double medevac drop, you get a 3rd CC behind it, and you get 2 ebays. And you get upgrades on your ebays, obviously. And then you head out with more and more medevacs and pretty much just like continue to spam Marine medevac towards your opponent and pressure and pressure and pressure and get more and more damage done. But this build is a bit different where you aren't really aiming towards a macro-centric game. You just want your 2-base saturation, you get a bunch of upgraded Marines and some siege tanks, and you head across the map. And pretty much you use the siege tanks and the Marines to leverage your great position versus the Zerg, and use your, what you probably will have, you should have an upgrade advantage versus the Zerg. You head in there, and you try to just out-trade them. But this can be tough. There's a lot of good positions on this map. Frogs knows, and he has covered most of them in creep. So I think what Catalyst needs to do is he needs to drop the siege tank somewhere over here and then send the Marines in to do some damage. I'd really like to see him actually kill that rock tower, just so he only has to worry about the one angle. So these siege tanks are going to get a couple shots off, and they are in a really good position. I really like that spot. Again, I would have loved to see Catalyst destroy those rock towers. Looks like he's just going to continue to pick away at some of the creep here. Third siege tank is going to join the fight, and Catalyst is still setting up, hoping to get a good engagement here. A lot of stims have been used. Only 3 medevacs to support this army. And looks like Frogs is going to wait for his 1-1 to finish before he decides to fully push in here. These Marines and medevacs are going to be able to take out this third base here. Looks like Frogs doesn't feel comfortable engaging this, actually. Just going to back off for now and abandon this base. And he is going to run in here, pick off some of the tanks. Unfortunately, Catalyst didn't target fire anything. I feel like if he target fired the Banelings, he could have gotten a lot more damage done there. But those Banelings are off creep. If Catalyst just stims in, I think he can get a good fight. Alright, so the Banelings are going to get back on towards creep here. Not a whole lot of links here to help them. And a flank comes in from the side there, cleans up a lot of Marines. Scan goes down, denying some creep spread here from Frogs. But Catalyst is a move towards here, and that means the Marines are going to stop to fight these Banelings, which I don't think they want to do right now. Alright, so these Banelings are going to get some decent connect versus these Marines. And that's a lot of units lost, and I guess as we were talking about this build, like, we can see the CC is so late. This build is really made to kill or to keep alive, if that makes sense. Like, you need to either kill your opponent or you keep your units alive while you continue to build more and more as you slowly expand. And Catalyst was unable to do either of those, so he's very far behind right now. He has good upgrades going here, but he really just doesn't have the powerhouse economy that his opponent does to make up for the supply differential here. Oh, sorry guys. Alright, so Frog's banking up quite a lot of resources here. He's taking a couple more bases as well, and I think if Frogs just heads across the map here, can probably snag a win, as Catalyst is a bit underprepared here. Doesn't really have the macro engine behind him to support his army, and a lot of units getting caught out here. Lings are going to be able to flood up into the main base, picking off some tanks. And without the support of these tanks, these Hydralisks are going to be so scary. And GG is going to get called. Frogs going to take game number 2. So, Frogs taking that series 2-1. Or 2-0, sorry. Alright, so Frogs and Drumhead have advanced on to our winner's bracket, which we're going to get into right now. Oops. Alrighty. So, spawning up here, we have in the top right side of the map of Lost and Found, it is our orange Protoss player. It is Drumhead. And down here in the bottom left, we have our Zerg player in the pinks. It is Frogs. I had to think about that for a moment. I wasn't sure if it was pink or purple, just because I was like looking at the hatchery. It's like all purple on like these parts. Maybe I'm just crazy, I don't know. Alright, so we're probably going to see some pretty interesting stuff from Frogs here. This is another matchup with that. I feel like Frogs macros EVP I think is fine, from what I've seen. But, again, he just really excels at these intricate timing attacks. He just has such a, I guess, like, understanding of these builds, where he understands how to execute them very well. And he can, he can hit a timing attack like any, he is Masters 2, I believe. So he can hit a timing attack just like any other Masters player. Even, I would say, even higher than Masters even. I would say he probably can hit a timing attack like any GM Zerg. But his macro game is definitely, again, not the focus of his play. Not to say it's bad. Now, I'd say PvZ is probably one of Drumhead's better matchups from what I've seen. I think he struggles a bit in TvP sometimes, but luckily in this group, the only players he really has to worry about, I think reasonably, are Tech4 and Frogs. I'd say Catalyst is a bit below his tier. And plus, he might not even play Catalyst unless Catalyst is able... Unless Drumhead loses the series and then has to face Catalyst, who has presumably, at that point, beaten Tech4. So, not a high likelihood that they meet. And we're already seeing Drumhead's PvZ versus Tech4. Looked pretty solid. This time is going to be a bit different. As we've seen with Tech4, he opened the adepts every game. But this time he's opening with a Stalker. He does have one adept out on the field, sorry. I had to double check that to make sure I wasn't just like spitting stuff into my ass. But he does open with one adept, but gets the Stalker out after. He's probably scared of the Nidus play from Frogs, or just like anything in general. Probably wants to deny as many Overlords as he can, because that keeps Overlords off of his side of the map, which means less Nidus Worms in his base. And overall, I think it's just a good idea when you're playing a player like Frogs to deny as much information as you can, because Frogs is a pretty smart guy, a pretty smart player. So the more information you can hide from him, the better. Because as I said, like I'm painting stereotypes of all these players pretty much, where Frogs is a smart player who can execute a build really well, but mechanically, I would say he's not like that doesn't dominate his play. Not his mechanics, it's more his thought process and his overall understanding of strategy and timings. He can execute the timings very well, but in a later game where you have to think about a lot more things, I think Frogs gets a bit too bogged down in the thinking aspect, because a mechanical player doesn't think about it. They just execute mindlessly. They don't need to consider what's going on. They just build units. But I guess, getting back to my point, if you can deny information from a player like Frogs, that increases doubt in their mind, and I think it's just a great thing to do. And +1 Zerglings here from Frogs. We might see a bit of a timing attack here, as that's a decent amount of Zerglings on the production tab. We see a couple more drones being made now, so maybe I was wrong. We see, it looks like we're going for a charge lot all-in with this build. And it's not an all-in, it's only off of 4 gates. So, but there's going to be a charge lot drop, just to put on some pressure. He's going to come into the main. +1's a ways away from finishing here. And these Zerglings are not at home either, which is pretty unfortunate here for Frogs, as these Zealots will be able to pick off this Queen pretty much immediately, and they're going to get to work on these drones. They're in a really good position too between the Evo and the hatchery there. But Frogs does pull away all the drones. He's just going to go for some guaranteed damage in the main here. And even as his second prism with some Archons in it over here. That's really nice. I know Drumhead really used to like this like multi-prong aggression. I think we don't really see it as much, and looks like Drumhead was not prepared there for all those Queens to be there. The Warp Prism does go down. He does unload both Archons from it, but they're only going to have to fight versus these Lings, so I think these Archons can clean a lot of this up. One of them might go down, but they're going to get a good trade regardless. And these Zealots are still in the main base. He's warped in a High Templar here for some reason. And that Warp Prism getting very low, won't go down, will get out. And these Archons get recalled all the way back home. So finally, these Zealots will go down. But I would say this harassment accomplished a lot here. It's unfortunate that Drumhead did lose the Prism, though. But he does have Storm on the way. He has a lot more gateways. Third base is coming up now. So this this harassment will delay Drumhead's third base for a bit now. He is getting Storm. About halfway from finishing. And this is actually really nice for Drumhead because the Storm is finishing before Hydralisks have even hit the field. But they are coming. It's not like he's getting Storm before Hydras were like conceived. Frugs has conceived the idea of building them. And right as Frugs conceived that idea, Drumhead's Storm will finish. And he even has a bunch of High Templar here gathering energy too. So Drumhead's in a super good spot this game. He's like a couple steps ahead of Frugs in his overall game plan. So got some harassment down here, some Archons. They've got quite a few kills on him so far. One of them unfortunately does go down as his Prism is a bit low. It looks like Drumhead was doing some stuff back at home. Both the Archons will go down. That's definitely not a loss you'd like to take, but unfortunately sometimes you have to be at home macroing and building things. It's not really worth the time sometimes. This Warp Prism does still exist though, so this can warp in some stuff. Can always warp in some more Archons if he feels like it. Probably just going to continue to warp in some Zealots later on. Thanks for the follow, Catalyst. You actually just missed your first game. We'll get to the other one later. Don't worry. And we do have a Lurker Den just finished somewhere, yeah. For Frugs, so that's very good for him. And I think it's very good too, especially with kind of how this game panned out. Drumhead is really going to be relying on a lot of Storms here to deal with the Hydralisks. Because he didn't open with Robo. Or will open with a heavy Robo presence. Like we didn't see him go for double Robo until just now. So he doesn't have a whole lot of Immortals on the field. And Storm is okay versus Lurkers if they're bunched up. But like you kind of use it to tenderize the meat before you cook it, you know? So the Immortals being the oven in this case, I guess. But you kind of use the Storms to blanket the Zerg army and to soften it up, and then the Immortals and the Archons come in and they finish the job. So he has a lot of Storms at his disposal, but he doesn't have a whole lot of Archons. And versus a huge clump of Lurkers, that's going to be really tough for Drumhead to deal with. Some good Storms coming down on a lot of these Hydralisks, but Lurkers are starting to burrow, and they will get into a good position. When these Archons going down, Frog's trying to split his units up. Love to see him move these Lurkers ahead here. More Storms coming down on the Hydralisks. And a lot of the Hydralisks have been cleaned up. I want to see him push these Lurkers forward. They have a lot more HP than the Hydralisks, so they really can survive a lot more of a beating. And you still need the Hydralisks around to deal with anything. But I guess he just wants the Lurkers here. And that's a lot of units here. With all these Zealots, yeah, like Drumhead's going to come right in, and he's going to get a good trade versus this. Unless Drumhead Frog specifically targeted down the High Templars, he's not going to get a great trade for that. And he only loses 6 Lurkers for like 2 High Templars and a couple of Zealots. I think he should have just either pushed forward really heavily there with some reinforcements or just backed off. But still, he does have Lurkers continuing to be produced. He has droned up a bit towards 70 drones, but his opponent's on 4 base. And a Protoss on 4 base is a pretty scary thing. Looks like we have a little bit of a harassment there with some Zerglings at the 4th. Going to be coming in shortly. Meanwhile, Drumhead is posturing here to try to take a fight. He has a lot of charge lots. His +2 will be finishing sometime soon. Not very close, but eventually. But Frogs does have Lurkers, and Lurkers are pretty good at defending. There's a couple of them set up over there, but that is a lot of zealots. And he has enough immortals to make up the backbone of this army. The lurkers are doing a lot of damage though, and they will force Drumhead back, but Drumhead does kill the 4th base. And he's on 4 mining bases. Like, it's not even like he has a 4th, like he's mining off 4. Drumhead has like 85 probes. Drumhead actually has like way too many probes at this point, I feel like. I feel like you can make do on just like 70. Or like 75 or something. But like Drumhead is just doing great right now. And he's going to continue to bank up more and more resources. And I feel like Drumhead could just go into carriers right now if he felt like it. He just has no way to spend like any of this money. And it looks like that's what he will be doing. And lurker drops. I know this is something Frugs likes to do. Honestly, I feel like it's way too expensive to ever be feasible. It's just like one of these things that's really annoying, and especially, it's really not feasible when this Protoss finds it and kills it with Zircons. It's a bit rough for him. Of course, Drumhead doesn't know that there's lurkers in there. For all he knows, those are Banelings. But this is a very scary army for Drumhead. And there's not a whole lot of lurkers here with this fight. Only a couple of them in the initial engagement. They will clean up a lot of the Zealots, but huge storms are going to blanket the entire army here of Frugs. A lot of Hydralisks going down there, and the Immortals will follow this up to back up the army. And GG well played is called. And Drumhead going to take game number 1 of this series. Really clinical game from Drumhead there. And I'm just going to take a moment to compose my voice here and stop talking for a sec. Just be right back. Alright, sorry about that. I am back. And we're going to be loading into game 2. Alright, so we have, spawning down here in the bottom right, we have in the orange, is our Protoss player. It is Drumhead. And up in the top left, we have in the pink, playing Zerg. It is Frugs. Yeah, sometimes I just find it really nice to take just a minute to stop talking between casts, as I find, especially when you're solo casting, if you just keep talking and talking and talking, you just your voice just becomes very, how do I say this? Like, you just like almost get tired of talking. But we are getting into things here. The standard play from both players so far. And last game we really didn't see Frogs go for, like, I was hyping him up as like the master of, you know, all-ins and the master of timing attacks. But he didn't really do anything like that. He had +1 lings that he got very early on. But he kind of used those as a tool to progress himself into a macro game as opposed to a tool to do damage. I'm not sure what we'll see from Frogs this game. He's getting an Evo Chamber very early this time. Of course, this could be another link timing, maybe. I feel like this is timed a bit early for that, though, unless he goes for, like... Does he go for melee first and then speed? Yeah, looks like that's what he's going for. Because has Drumhead even seen the Evo? No, Drumhead hasn't even seen the Evo Chamber, even though it's right there. It's really unfortunate for him. He's like right by it. And he sees Frogs mine the 100 gas, and he's like, oh, he's getting speed. Everything is normal. But in reality, everything is not normal. He's getting melee. And we'll have to see too, once the supply block does clear here for Frogs, what is he going to build? He has some free supply. He's getting his Zergling speed. Once he gets some resources, he's going to have to choose between getting lings and getting drones. It looks like he's going to get a couple drones. So it's not going to be some huge all-in with just off of like 1.5 base here. He is getting a third as well. So I guess maybe he's just going to use this again as a tool to propel him into a macro game. Or maybe not, as he builds 10 lings. Like, I have no clue what's going on, guys. So Frogs is building the Zerg units. And he's going to attack the orange guy. I don't know who the orange guy is and why they have this beef, but... The pink dogs are going to attack the cosplayer. Alright, so Frogs does, not Frogs, sorry, Drumhead does come up into the main base, and we'll see that Evo Chamber upgrading. Probably knows it's going to be melee again, as he doesn't see a Roach Warren, and obviously makes no sense to get range attack when you have no roaches, or no range units whatsoever, other than queens. But this game looks like Drumhead's just going to open the Stargate, so it's pretty safe against ling openers, as Oracles, do a lot of damage. And he's banking both of them at home, so he has a lot of energy on both of these. Or will have a lot of energy on this one. And with another one on the way, this is really going to set back the sling aggression here from Frogs. I think Frogs wanted to bust down this wall, as +1 lings do a lot of damage, but they don't really have a whole lot of like health, obviously. So these Oracles can make quick work of them. This one has 2 kills. They actually only have a couple kills each, so. And Frogs, a bit of a mistake there. Bringing a lot of drones up here when he didn't really need to. And that's a lot of drones lost, or, lings lost for nothing. He hasn't been able to bust in through the wall. And he's continuing to make Zerglings, so he really needs to make something happen here. Like, best case here is he's kept Drumhead on 2 bases. But the fact is, even with Drumhead on 2 bases, Drumhead's mining a lot more than he is. So he's still getting behind if he doesn't kill Drumhead right now. And a lot more lings are coming in here. They're going to try to target down the Stargate as quick as they can. Stargate will go down very shortly here. The Oracles have gone all the way across the map, so they won't be able to support these adepts here. And it looks like he has recalled the Oracles, but these +1 lings maybe are just too much for Drumhead to deal with right now. If Frogs is able to get into the main base here and kill a lot of probes, maybe this game can even out for Frogs. still, that's going to be a tough question, or a tough call for Drumhead to make. These adepts are trading okay versus these lings, and all of these oracles here are pretty much out of energy at this point. Frogs has been able to run the lings around so much. More and more just going to keep coming in and flooding through here. And I think this might be the beginning of the end here. If Frogs can keep getting his lings through, then it's going to be hell for Drumhead to deal with this. And that building does get cancelled. A lot of lings are going to flood through here. An Archon is being made, so that should help clean up a lot of these lings. They haven't gotten the most probe kills just yet, only a couple here and there. Especially with the amount of times Drumhead has been able to pull them. He's doing a really good job keeping his drones alive, or probes, sorry, alive, and that's really what he needs to be doing at this stage of the game, as Frogs is only on 28 drones. So it doesn't matter if he loses a couple probes here and there, he just needs to stop the swell of lings coming into his base. And he has lost a lot of Zerglings, that is. Frogs, that is, sorry. Over 90 at this point. But he has been making it worth it. Like, he's killing probes here and there, and it's like steadily mounting up. There's 2 Archons here, but we do have +1 Zerglings. So I think maybe these +1 lings could, if they all came together, do well versus the Archons. Charges out here too for these Zealots, so the Zealots will be able to fare a lot better versus the Zerglings. This is super annoying for Drumhead. Finally, Frogs will even up the worker count. But has he lost too many lings? I'm not quite sure. Like, I feel like this is a tough one for both the players to call. I imagine as Drumhead, you probably feel like you're not in a great position right now, especially because your opponent just keeps flooding lings into your base. And he doesn't really know what his opponent's doing on his side of the map. But realistically, Frogs isn't in a great spot. Frogs has not been joining up until just now. So his economy has been behind for quite a while. Unfortunately, though, for Drumhead, looks like he will be able to, or will have to lose this third base, as +1 lings do a lot of damage, and he doesn't have enough units in position to deal with that. And Frog's is going to take another opportunity to run into Drumhead's base. There's even Archons in the mineral lines. That's how desperate the situation has become. Where the Archon's sole priority is to sit like the over, I don't know what you want to call him, like a supervisor. Supervising the probes mining. It's a slave driver. And nice pick off here for Drumhead. Is going to be able to see this 4th base trying to go down, and he will be able to pick that off. So at this point in time, Frogs is now ahead. No, I don't speak German, sorry. But at this point in time, sorry, Drumhead will come in here, and he is going to try to punish Frogs for being a bit greedy here, as I think Frogs has overdroned just a bit here. He has a lot of queens, but the queens aren't really going to do that well versus these Zealots and Archons. And a lot of them getting cut off creep here too, and that's going to be game. And it looks like Drumhead going to take a 2-0 here. So Drumhead is on to the Allinvitational itself. Oh, okay. There's 3 games in the folder, so I was concerned that they might have gotten mislabeled, and I marked one of them down wrong. But Drumhead is a nice guy, and he always puts in like a false replay, so that if for whatever reason you guys were to see the replay folders, you wouldn't spoil the series for you, I guess is what I mean to say. I tried to do that myself. Before I cast, just to make sure that it doesn't spoil the series if I forget for a second and everyone sees the folder of replays in my client. But anyways, now we're going to be moving on towards the losers bracket. It's going to be between Tech and Catalyst. I'm just going to take a minute here to grab some water. I'll be right back, you guys. Alright, I am back. And we're going to be getting into things here. Alright. So, spawning down here, in the bottom right side of this map, we have in the purple plain Zerg. It is Tech 4. And up in the top left, we have in the blue plain Terran. It is our... Oh, God, it is Catalyst. I was about to go on about... I was about to say, like, up here in the blue plain Terran, it is our Terran player. Holy crap. And it looks like Tech 4 are going to be starting off with a 14 pool this game. Not sure what this is going to go into. I thought it was going to be the Ravager Rush, as he was taking the second gas there for a brief moment in time. But looks like maybe not. I don't know. Because I think you take both gases with the Ravager build, right? We'll have to see. Once this spawning pool is done. So this is going to be the battle for the best StarCraft player in Maine. Both players hailing from Maine. Proud, proud Maine. Alright, so we have 6 Zerglings on the way. I guess this is just going to be like 14 pool into some Zerglings to deny the natural CC. And he's going to take a delayed hatchery with it. So, not an all-in, just a very aggressive build, I guess is the best way to describe it. This can definitely tunnel into an all-in though. Oh really? You and Tech 4 both went to the same college? That's funny. Alright, did you go at the same time? I feel like you seem like you're a bit younger than Tech 4. Alright, so Catalyst is going to be going for a 2-on-1 this game. And he's going to be kind of greeted by a bit of a rude awakening here, as the Zerglings are going to kill that SCV at the low ground. And when this happens, there's absolutely nothing you can do unless you kept your Reaper at home. You have to cancel that command center and just build it on the high ground. There's no way that Reaper comes back in time to save that. That base is just forfeit at this point. It's rough, but it's kind of what you got to do. Catalyst is smart though, and he does bring the Reaper back to the main, which is definitely a good call. As if he brings it back to the natural, then the Zerglings just kill it. But he keeps it in the main, and this makes it so that the Zerglings can't continue to pick away at his wall. Really nice job there from Tech 4, actually snags that Reaper before it gets back into the main. And that's going to be very annoying for Catalyst, as Catalyst won't be able to send it across the map. And ideally, what Catalyst wants that Reaper to do at this point is to scout what's coming next. If there's anything coming next. And from our perspective here, you can tell that Tech 4 is going to be going for a third base and just playing a macro game from this point on, presumably. 10 drones on the way. And Catalyst is kind of sitting here at home, trying to defend. He can't really do much at this point, because he's in the dark. His Reaper's gone. He doesn't have any medevacs out. He's not going to scam, or shouldn't rather. I can't, obviously I don't know if he literally does later or not, but Catalyst shouldn't scam. That's just such a waste of money at this point in the game. But he just doesn't know what's going on. He doesn't know if Tech 4 is preparing for a huge Baneling bust, if he has a bunch of roaches waiting to bust up the ramp. So he can't really send all of his units down the ramp until he finds out what's up. That's really cute move there, actually, to bait the Zerglings towards the Marines at the top of the ramp. I really like that. That's really cool. And so he does feel confident enough to move down his ramp now. But it's kind of a risky move, because if Tech 4 was going for a Baneling bust and all these Marines are on the low ground, then they're just absolutely, they're done for. There's no way that they can get up the ramp in time. And the first two medevacs are on the way now. So Catalyst going to be hitting this timing pretty well. But on the other side of the map, Tech 4 has started to produce some roaches. And roaches are going to shut down this 2-on-1 really hard. Definitely a bit of an overcommitment, as I think you just prefer queens. Especially like if the Marines catch these roaches, out of position, then they can kill a couple of roaches very easily and not really take too much damage. But Tech 4 has other plans for these roaches. They're going to come into the natural here, and they're going to deny this base yet again. Meanwhile, that drop is halfway across the map, and Catalyst has to make this tough call of sending the drop home, because I don't think he can hold on versus these roaches with just reinforcements. Medevacs are going to boost back in towards the main base here. Marines are unloading, but that is a lot of roaches. Catalyst going to stem forward. Looks like he should be able to clean up these roaches, even with these Ling reinforcements here. But a lot of units have gone down, and Tech 4 is still on a pretty good drone count. So I don't think there's any way Catalyst can come back after this point. Tech 4's just continually delayed him, and sees Ling's killing a lot of workers in the mineral line here. Catalyst is pretty far behind. Of course, Catalyst doesn't know, on the other side of the map, what Tech 4's economy is like. For all I know, Tech 4's been on one base this entire time. More roaches coming towards the natural here. They should get cleaned up pretty easily by this Marine forces. There's not enough roaches to deal with that. But even with this good pickoff for roaches here, I don't really think it's going to matter, as Tech 4 is just going to continue to pump out units. He has a really good economy so far. And a lot of roaches and Lynx here are going to catch out all these units here. And looks like that's the last straw here for Catalyst, and he's going to tap out. So game number 1 going to Tech 4. Alright, so getting into game 2 here. Down in the bottom left corner, we have in the purple, playing Zerg from Maine. It is Tech 4. And up in the top right, we have in the blue, playing Terran from Maine as well. It is Catalyst. I was a bit indecisive with my zoom in and out there. I just kept doing it. Oh, so I guess this is Catalyst map choice. I thought it was a different map. It has like, I feel like it has a very generic sounding name, like Lost and Found. Like that could just be anything. There's a lot of maps that have kind of generic names like that. Oh wait, their last game was on Catalyst, wasn't it? God, I should have made a pun about Catalyst not doing well on his own map. That would have been great. And this looks like it's just going to be standard play here from Tech 4. And standard play from Catalyst as well. We'll see if he goes for the 2-on-1 again. This will be the 3rd time in a row we've seen him open. Yeah, and 2-on-1 it will be. So it looks like this is Catalyst's go-to TVZ build right now. So, as I said, like, it's not a bad build per se, but definitely a hard one. This Reaper's going to go across the map, and nothing really out of the ordinary here for Tech 4. He has yet to take a third base, so that Reaper can still deny that, which would be good if he's able to do so. So the Reaper's going to hop into the main. A bit of an unusual choice. Normally you don't really see the Terran players opting to hop into the main for information. There's not a whole lot you can see there. Plus you can kind of see when you opt to hop into the main like that to get information, you just completely open up that third base, and the Zerg player can take that really easily. But if you have your Reaper kind of pushing in, trying to see what the drone count's like, trying to deny creep tumors, trying to deny that third base, like you get a lot more done with that one Reaper. And in this matchup, the Reaper is such a crucial tool in the early game to dictating the flow of the game. It's like, I'm sure anyone's played a game as Terran where they lost their Reaper to like two Zerglings and a drone or something at the start of the game, and it just feels like crap because your Reaper's dead. You don't have any way to poke. You don't have any way to get information. There's just a lot you can do with the Reaper that really pays off for you later in the game. Catalyst hasn't started his stim yet. It's a bit late. Unless it's not done, is it? How do you do? What are upgrades sheet? Yeah, no stim. Okay, so he actually, I think he messed up the build a bit here because normally you get stim as soon as possible. Scan here from Catalyst. Gonna try to deny some creep tumors. Looks like he'll only have time for one. And Tech 4 knows what build it is, and he hasn't really gotten many more queens. He's only on 4 right now, which if they're all together is fine. But the thing is, like, you'd prefer to have a couple of queens back at home injecting rather than all your queens pulled towards the third base. So he has enough lings to hold off this 2-on-1, which is going to be fine. Especially since the stim is late too. That's definitely going to be a real big impact on this. And really nice job from Catalyst. He's kept this Reaper alive. It actually has quite a few kills. Let's see what's killed here. Okay, so I guess mostly creep tumors. Reaper will finally get killed now. And 2 bedvacs have popped there. I think this is the first game we've got to see of Catalyst doing a 2-on-1, where he actually gets to the point in the game where he can head across the map. I feel like every game we've watched him play, someone just like cheeses him or like does a rush. Alright, so medevacs are heading out. A bit late here though. Normally you want the medevacs to kind of be heading out around the 5:30 mark. Only heading out at the 6-minute mark is a bit rough. That 30 seconds is really does mean a lot. We do have upgrades coming here for Tech 4. A lot more lings on the way. But Tech 4 really hasn't been investing in those queens. He has 5 at the moment, which is okay. But not really, I think, where you'd want to be at. I think you'd want like 6 or like 7 right now, as opposed to 5. All these Marines will get unloaded, and that's a lot of Zerglings. But Catalyst can just pick up. Loses 2 Marines. And he killed like 6 Zerglings for that, so that's fine. Smartly of Catalyst, he is going to pick up and go into another direction. No point like ramming yourself against a brick wall, especially with all those lings. That is definitely a lot of Zerglings. Yeah, Catalyst is a diamond. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if you guys can hear that. There's like, I think there's like a helicopter or something inside my house. So Catalyst is doing something that like I feel like 90% of Diamond Terran players don't do, which is clear creep, and I love it. You just like, I feel like that's something that a lot of players don't really think about. I know like when I was like lower Diamond, I would just never clear creep and just like fight on it all the time because I'm like, oh, who cares if the Zerg units are a bit faster? That doesn't matter. But like, you know, that matters a whole lot, especially when you have Balines in this game. But his macro this game, as I've talked about earlier, when Catalyst kind of gets left by himself, his macro is not too bad. He could have a few more racks at this point in time and maybe a bit more workers, but he kind of has the supply that you might expect someone to have at this stage of the game. Or almost to it, I guess I should say. So he's not doing too bad. As long as he doesn't take some bad fights here, I think Catalyst is going to be in an okay spot. He just needs to get some more workers, really, is the big thing. And hopefully kill some of Tech 4s. He hasn't expanded to another base yet. Looks like he is going for that tank drop variant of the 2-on-1. That is a lot of Zerglings, though. We do have a lot of Marines here as well, but... Oh my god, is that target fire on those Balines? That was a really sick fight. I'm gonna go ahead and say that was target fire from Catalyst. That was really sick. Either the luckiest or the best play we've ever seen from Catalyst. Kills all the Balines there in that fight and is going to proceed to run up the ramp here and start killing Zerglings. These 1-1 Marines are shredding through the 1-1 Zerglings of Tech 4, and Catalyst is not stopping. He's just going to continue to head up the ramp here. Going to march right into the base of Tech 4, and I don't think Tech 4 was expecting this. The Baleen nest does go down, so that means no more Balines at Tech 4's disposal until that gets back up. And these Marines here are going to get some really good trades versus all these Zerglings. Really nice target fire on that Morphin Baleen. He's going to take out the Evo Chambers too to keep himself in the in the lead for his upgrades. Natural does go down, and this has been a really nicely executed game here from Catalyst. That was some sick target fire on those Banelings, and he's just shown some really nice control in this game. He has 2-2 now as well, so these Marines are just going to get better and better. Tech 4 literally cannot build any more units at this point. He's lost the spawning pool. All he has is a Spire, and he's lost the layer too. That was not the fight that Tech 4 was expecting to take back there. And I think Tech 4 overextended himself a bit there. All the units here from Tech 4 are just dead. All the buildings are gone. And that should be the end of the game here shortly. That was a really sick game from Catalyst. That target fire was absolutely incredible. Like, probably one of the highlights I've seen of this play, actually. Because, like, target fire is tough. Like, I know those are slow Banelings, but I'm pretty sure they were on creep. And, like, there was a lot of Zerglings there. There's a lot going on. It's not something that's easy to do. And it looks like GG gonna get called. Tech 4 tying up this series in an unexpected result here. Can Catalyst maybe take this series off Tech 4? Even though that wasn't the map Catalyst was hoping for, it worked out okay for him. So now we're going to get into our third game of the series. Tied up. Person who loses this game is out of the Allinvitational. The person who wins is going to go up against Frogs in the Deciders match. So, spawning up here, we have our Zerg player in the top left. It is Tech 4. And in the bottom right, we have our blue Terran player winning that last game. It is Catalyst. So Catalyst just going to go for a 2-on-1 again. I would have loved to see Catalyst bust out a cheese on this map. Do like a T-Rex. I think that would have been a really sick mind game. Throw Tech 4 off. You gotta take that risk. But looks like he's just going to be going for a standard play. See, he's getting that barracks up. Back at home. And meanwhile, what is Tech 4 doing? That hatchery, or that spawning pool is very early. This might be a similar build that we've seen from the first game, where you go for the Zerglings with Zergling speed and you deny that command center. It's a very tough build to deal with if you don't have CV Scout, but it looks like Catalyst is going to be doing that this game. Will he identify what's going on though? He should notice that the hatchery is going to be late, and just kind of understand that there's Zerglings coming. Like, he should know based off what he sees. Especially considering he literally sees the Zerglings. Alright, so this is interesting. Goes for... I'm not sure if he's going for like a 1 base 2-on-1 because of what he's seen. But he hasn't thrown down... he hasn't thrown down an expansion just yet. And he is getting that reactor up. I'm not a big fan of this, to be honest. Like, you really need that command center. Oh, and even getting a 3rd barracks. Oh. Okay, I think that was a mistake. Yeah, as he canceled that. Like, this build... This is... He could definitely afford to get the command center on the high ground. Like, he has enough money for it. Love to see him put it down here soon. You know, like, why not? You're gonna want the mining eventually, but I don't know. Maybe Catalyst just didn't feel safe taking it. Alright, so we have a bit of an Evo Chamber wall here from Tech 4 at the natural. Probably to deflect Hellions? Or... I'm not sure. Maybe this is to create an easier choke for the Marines to fit in? I don't know. Okay, this is very weird. He's swapped the Tech Lab and onto the factory, and he's going to start making siege tanks. He doesn't have stim. What am I watching? Okay, so he's getting the command center now. I think he thought it was going to be a much more dedicated all-in than... Or, like, it was going to be an all-in rather than just, like, an aggressive opening. Damn it. Excellent hit control. Shift F. When I meant to hit control F. No. One sec. Okay. So Catalyst the skin, the main, sees the layer coming down. I guess Tech 4 probably just going to be going into Ling Mutabane. Or Ling Hydra. So, I feel like this is a game where Catalyst seen something, and he probably didn't know exactly what was going on. Because it is pretty hard to tell sometimes, like, if you don't look at a build, like, from the Zerg's perspective and see what they're doing, it's really hard to identify a lot of their cheeses, because they all look very similar. It's, you know, just a pool at a different time. So, I think Catalyst thought this is going to be an all-in, and that's why he's playing so safe. But then again, when Tech 4 comes across the map, I think Tech 4 thought it was going to be all in, so he played safe. So then, like, both of them are just playing safe for no real reason. I guess in the end that works out well for Catalyst. Alright, so Tech 4 is going for a Spire. And he already has +1 for his Zerglings, so that's actually pretty interesting. He got it so quickly. That's going to really catch Catalyst by surprise. These Zerglings are going to be doing a lot more damage to his Marines than he might expect. And upgraded Zerglings are pretty good units. His Medevacs are going to start boosting across the map here. He has a couple siege chunks of this, which will be really good if he can set those up in a good position. And quite a lot of Marines. He does have Stint. But his opponent has +1/+1, and Catalyst has no upgrades on the way. So +1/+1 Lings are going to take a lot more damage, and they're going to deal a lot more damage to these Marines. So it's going to be a pretty scary push, and the Lings are going to jump on top of these Marines right before the tanks are sieged up. Tanks are both going to get picked off, and these +1 Lings are just making mincemeat out of these Marines. Making their armor look like it's made of plastic. They're just... Sorry, they're just like... wrecking right through them. There's nothing these Marines can really do versus these Zerglings. Zerglings are just so much stronger than them right now. And a 2-2 on the way. Catalyst is going to find himself in a lot of trouble if he keeps trying to find damage. Especially since he doesn't even have combat shields yet. And now Tech 4 should feel comfortable to start joining up a bit here. He's only on 3 base. So I feel like Tech 4 probably could have taken a couple more here. Or like at least a base more. And +2/+2 is pretty much almost done. Tech 4 is getting Corruptors. He has +1 air weapons as well. And he's continuing to drone up. So Tech 4 is really putting himself in a good position in this game. Just getting his economy up and getting his tech up. And meanwhile, Catalyst is still on 2 bases. He's only now just finishing his 3rd base at the 8 minutes 30-second mark. So this has been a very stunted economy from both sides. Normally the Zerg player would probably have 5 bases by now. Maybe 4 and getting their 5th. But Tech 4 is only now just getting his 4th. And same with Catalyst. Catalyst is only now just getting his 3rd. So, you know, both players are playing super defensively here. And again, Tech 4 is going to continue to maintain this upgrade advantage. Catalyst +1 weapons are going to complete here, along with his armor. But versus +2 for Zerglings and Banelings, that's going to be a tough fight. And even sees the Hive on the way right when he scans. Very lucky scan here from Catalyst. But I just feel like if Catalyst strides ahead across the map, he's going to have a lot of trouble. I think he needs to stay back and like just kind of turtle up for a while. Maybe just take his 3rd base. Like I don't think he can go across the map at all. He's getting his +2 weapons finally, but it'll still be a while before he actually gets those. And I feel like Tech 4 could take this opportunity to come across the map and strike Catalyst while his units are at an upgrade advantage versus him. There's not even that many tanks either. We have no 4s in the mix. We have no Widowmines. So if Tech 4 has any middleists, no he doesn't. It looks like he's only going for a couple Corruptors. But anyways, this Sling Bane should work very well versus this mostly Marine army. Especially considering they have better upgrades, as I've mentioned multiple times. Tech 4 is just continuing to take some bases on the other side of the map here. And it looks like Catalyst is going to try to head out now. But we have 3-3 and Adrenal on the way for Tech 4. So Catalyst is really on a timer. Once that Adrenal and 3-3 kicks in, these Lings are going to be absolutely destroying these Marines here for Catalyst. And I don't think there's anything Catalyst will be able to do. He's going to come up here and he's going to try to deny a lot of creep spread. Maybe get himself set up in a good position to take a good fight. But it's going to be hard for him to find that position. I think he's going to try to push up here. He is killing a lot of creep, actually. Tech 4 not even trying to defend this. But that is a huge ball of Lingbane. And Tech 4 is coming in from 4, surrounds some Lings and Banes heading over here. They're going to come attacking this army at the exact same time as these Lings come in for the flank on these tanks. Baneling's connecting on all these Marines. Catalyst's entire army gets pretty much obliterated here. And I don't think there's anything else for Catalyst left in this game. He doesn't have that many units left. More and more Marines going down. This third base is going to get completely destroyed. And just way too many Banelings. The Catalyst knows it as well. That should be game. But Catalyst, he's going to try his best to hold on here. I guess maybe just giving Tech 4 the satisfaction of the kill. So looks like that's going to be it. GG is called from both sides. And Tech 4 is going to take that match and move on to face Frugs in the winner's bracket. Alright, so this is going to be our final series for today. Spawning up here in the top right, we have in the orange. It is our Zerg player, Tech 4. And down we have here our other Zerg player in the pink. It is Frugs. So, looks like... I think Frugs is going for... I can't remember what the... There's like some name I've probably heard them use for this build. But pretty much you get a really early hatchery and you literally just make Lings. This is like a Star Killer tier build, I think. It doesn't like... It's a build that if your opponent looks at it, it doesn't make sense. But it gives you like a very slight advantage in the Ling count in the early game, so you can take them by surprise. So, will Tech 4 get across the map in time to identify this? Not quite sure. But he is getting up. He has, he's just continuing to make drones and play standard. He went for a hatch first. So his spawning pool is going to be quite late. So I think this is definitely going to hit him hard. Spawning pool just finishes here for Frogs. And Zergling speed is on the way. Now I think we're just going to see pure Ling from here on. And it's going to be a while until Tech 4's spawning pool is even done. And we already have 10 Lings on the way. The power of having this extra hatchery at such an early time that should produce so many more Lings. And I think once that Overlord comes in here, unless Tech 4 looks specifically at the creep, there's no real tells until he sees all the Zerglings. Tech 4 might know something's up based off the creep spread, because it does look very suspicious. Like, it's all the way out. Tech 4's isn't, so if he thinks about it critically, I think Tech 4 can see what's going on. And it doesn't look to be the case, as we do see Tech 4 going for a third base. But Tech 4 should know what's going on now, as he should have seen in the minimap those lings. And I hope to see only drones in the production tab, or only lings in the production tab for Tech 4. Spawn Crawler is going down, Baneling Nest on the way, but that is a lot of Zerglings, and they're hitting at a super quick timing. It's going to be really tough for Tech 4 to hang on. Zerglings slipped through the wall, and GG is called. Tech 4 had literally no units to deal with that. He didn't see it coming. It's this really sleek maneuver there by Frogs. Gonna take an easy win in the first game. Alright, so starting up our next game, we have up here in the top left, in the orange, it is Tech 4. And down here, we have in the bottom left, in the pink, it is Frogs. And it looks like Frogs is going to be going for the exact same build this time. Now, that he just did this build to Tech 4, so like, I would hope that Tech 4 would be on the lookout for this. But you never know. Tech 4 just might not know how to look for this build. Or he might just assume that Frogs is not going to go for it. And Tech 4 is going for a hatch first yet again. So another pretty greedy opening. So same exact scenario as last game. Can Tech do it differently this time though? And I think this map has a bit of a longer rush distance, so it's actually gonna make it harder for Tech to identify this rush. Normally, like, the rusher doesn't want a map with a large rush distance, but I feel like in this specific scenario, it's much better because your opponent has more time to build drones and not Zerglings when this happens. And so the fact that you have so many Zerglings is very off-putting. Now we see a spawning pool, just finishing up here for Tech 4. And 6 lungs and 2 queens are on the way. So this definitely could mean that Tech 4 has clued in. Maybe he's just blind countering an aggressive play here from Catalyst. Or from, not Catalyst, sorry, from Frogs. But he does have 1 more drone into production tab. So he's playing a bit safer than he normally would. And that Overlord should have scared it in here, seen no drones. So I think Tech knows what's up. And he's going to keep making Zerglings, keeping them at the bottom of the ramp here. And he's going to make a Baneling Nest as well. It will be a couple seconds before that is finished. So it means it's going to be a bit before he can get some Banelings. And he only has enough gas for a couple of them. And it looks like these Zerglings are going to head up the ramp here. Going to be trying to come in and attack Tech 4's base here, but these queens are helping out. A lot of Zerglings here for Tech 4. He is prepared for it this time. Can he hold on? Nice pullback on the wings there. Is able to save some of them and let the queens do some more of the tanking there. And Banelings are on the way, so this looks like Tech has started to maintain this hold here. He has a significant drone advantage versus Frogs, so as long as he can hold on here for just a bit longer, his economy should definitely outpace Frogs. Oh, pretty rough Baneling connects there, actually, for Tech 4, but just a couple of them, and he still has, as I said, a significant drone lead, so his economy is much better than Frogs. So Frogs really needs to make something happen right now. He's going to try to come in here, try to trigger some Baneling detonations. I guess he's going to go in for that queen, and Frog's going to try to back off. Even with that queen kill, though, like, Tech 4 is still in a very good position in this game. And I think Tech 4, if he wanted, could just go into counter offensive here. I don't think Frogs has no gas, which means no Banelings. So Tech 4's own Lings and Banelings can really do a lot of work versus Frug's pure Ling. And we see a lot more Lings on a production tab here for both sides, and even some Banelings here for Tech 4. Once these Banelings get to this fight, I think it's just going to be over here for Frugs. Tech 4 taking a good fight there. More Banelings are on the way. More Lings on the way as well. Not the greatest Baneling detonations there, but still, I think every detonation is fine. Like, as long as it kills anything. Tech 4 keeping the Banelings alive as long as he can. Good idea. Of course, he wants to use those on a clump of Lings if he can, or a clump of drones, whatever works. He's gonna come in here. Will these Banelings get a really juicy hit? Looks like that one will. A lot of drones going into the red here, and it looks like Tech 4 should be taking this game as he is killing all the drones here of Frugs, and he has a lot back at home. A lot more Lings coming down here into the natural from Tech 4. 14 drones have gone down. Wow. Pretty much like all the drones here for Frugs. GG, well played. And Tech 4 are going to take game number 2. Alright, so we are getting into the last game of today. This is the deciders match. Whoever wins this is going to move on to the next round in the Allinvitational and have a shot at that juicy $60 prize pool. So, spawning up here in the top left, it is our orange Protoss, goddamn. Our orange Zerg player, and this is Tech 4. My mind is just not in my body today. And down here we have our very persistent Zerg player. It is Frugs. He is trying this build for the 3rd time in a row. Will it work this time? And Tech 4 going for a hatch first again. So Tech 4 looks like once he realized that this was a build in Frugs' arsenal, he is prepared to deal with it. It's not that Tech doesn't know anymore. As we've seen, Tech held that brilliantly last game. So, will Frugs, can this build work again? I feel like Frugs needed to play a more standard game here. Or if he was going to go for an early Ling aggression, go for something a bit different. Not the same build every time, you know? Go for something that's maybe a bit off. Because I think Tech 4 can just blind counter this now, if he feels like it. Got there just in time for the fireworks. And I feel like just the way both these guys are playing this game, it's just so like so cutthroat. Like they're both or rather Frugs is making it this way, but these games are just ending super quick. Both games were like very, very clearly decided by 4 minutes. And it looks like that might just be how it goes again. And Tech 4 looks like he is just going to counter this build as he does know what's up. Sees no drones at that natural, and he sees that that natural's been there for a while. So he's just going to produce his own Lings. He's producing a couple more drones. Maybe going to turn one into a spine crawler. And some queens. So Tech 4 is in a pretty good spot. And a Bailey nest on the way here for Tech 4 as well. These Zerglings are just now heading across the map here for Frugs. And they will have speed shortly. Tech 4's own speed is a ways off. But he should have it, at least for the counter aggression. And he'll have Bailey at his disposal too, so They're not going to be here for the initial fight, but I think Tech 4 has enough lings and queens that he can deal with that initial fight just fine. A couple of these queens kind of getting caught out here in the open just a bit. And these Zerglings here, 4 Frogs, are going to try to head in towards the mineral line, try to pick off some drones if they can. But there's a lot of nooks and crannies there. And he sees the Bailey Nest. He can't charge headlong into anything here. If he does, he'll get hit by a Bailey and he will die. He's going to come into the main here, going to try to pick off some drones. Tech doing a good job, pull them towards the minerals. But these Lings are going to try to fight against these Queens. And Tech 4 has held this off. And without losing a single drone. This is looking very dire here for Frogs. I think Frogs took a bit of a gamble here. And it's not really paying off. As we see now, Tech 4 has the huge numbers advantage. He's heading across the map. He wants to end this right now before Frogs can get back into this game. Huge fight here in the middle. Tech 4's Lings are going to overwhelm and overpower the Lings here of Frogs, and they're going to head right into the natural. Nothing here to defend. Just a couple Lings having spawned out, and the Lings are going to run into the main base. And I think this should be the deciding moment of this game. Can Frogs hold on, or will he lose too many drones here to recover? Tech 4's Lings are just going to slaughter right through everything, and Tech 4 is going to be going on to the Allinvitational. Some really good games played by Frogs in this bracket here, but ultimately Tech 4 will come out on top. So thanks to all the players for playing in this, and thanks to anyone who's watching. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I'll maybe be back to cast another cast eventually. I'm sure someday. But anyways, that's my quota for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed again, and I'm gonna be heading off for now. Have a good day, everyone. Thanks for watching.